How are y'all doing? We are back. It's time for a Pounds for Purrs workout. This one is from March 6th. So it was a squat and deadlift day, and as a result, I did want to make sure I included a cardio warm-up, and I went to the Stairclimber for 13 flights, so a little bit less than I typically would go for, at a speed level of 5, which took 4 minutes and 17 seconds. So nice, easy warm-up, and then I decided to go over to the squat rack and began warming up. I start off with the usual set of 5 with 135, then a set of 4 with 185. Instead of doing an additional set with 225 like I did last time, I just went right into working sets. So here you're seeing the 10x4 with 245 pounds, 90 seconds of rest in between sets. And I really didn't need to do that triple last time with 225 as a mid-set before getting to working weight, but I did it anyways just to be on the safe side of things. And today I just figured I don't need to do it, and I knew very well I didn't need to, and just went right into working sets, and it was absolutely fine. It's 245, so I can jump from 185 to 245 with no problems, no issues, no worries. And so that's what you're seeing right now. All in all, it was a good squat day. And actually, it was a good lower body day in general. But squats went well. I'm pleased with these reps. I'm going for a good stoppage at the bottom, but honestly, nothing special. Although there will be some reps where I will hold the bottom for a bit. But nothing crazy, nothing really out of the ordinary for me. But there will be a few reps where it'll be extended. I'd like to give a shout out to a wonderful Asian woman working out, doing some really good exercises, and it's always cool to see that because 1, the technique was there, 2, the exercise selections were good, and 3, it's just very uplifting to see that being done, especially with the younger crowd going to the gym. And I know I say this time to time, but it's really worth repeating. Just the fact that most people I see, especially with the younger generations, they tend to not get fully educated or even just get a good base or foundation. They might just see something they look at on social media and then just try to replicate it, or have different influencers or people they look up to and just try to do what they do without actually being taught anything and just trying to teach themselves, which you can get to a pretty decent level with. But it's always a good idea to have at least the opinion of somebody who's trained or certified or just simply has the knowledge, just to make sure that everything's right, because if you're on your own, that could be pretty tough. And sometimes these influencers may not have the best training methods and the best training habits, but you wouldn't know that, because if you didn't know any better, you would just assume that based on their physique that they know exactly what they're doing and they have everything down, which can be misleading. So when I see younger people who lift well, it's really nice, and especially when I see a younger woman, because they really need to be careful with how they're working out, above all things like their goals and why they're working out, other than the health reasons, but even just for aesthetics, even just to look a certain way, just to make sure they're doing it in a safe and effective manner and not just simply trying to copy other people that they may see on things like Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or whatever else those kids are using these days. But she was doing great stuff. I just want to point that out because it's worth recognizing and worth praising. So it's just really, really refreshing whenever I do see something like that, because it's not as often as I would like it to be. So there's that. But back to squats. Good stuff here. I am wondering if I'll be able to get past 275 for this program. That's usually about where I top off, but I don't know. I might be able to extend this, and if I do, I might even drop some volume. So instead of going from sets of 5 to 4 to 3, who knows, I might adjust that. But anywho, I did do a little bit of accessory work. However, not 2 strength movers. I did 1 strength exercise, and I did a little bit of cardio to kind of burn things out. I was tempted to do a secondary accessory, but I was pretty tired at that point and didn't want to do more than I should. And so the first one that I'll mention is just a conventional deadlift. I have not done conventional deadlift in a while now, and so I just figured just go back through the movement pattern, just make sure it's still there, don't go heavy. I could have certainly have gone a lot heavier, but I also wanted to make sure that I was just gripping the bar and just giving the grip a little bit of work, specifically in the deadlift. So I did a 3x8 with 225, so very light, very, very light for me. That's warm-up numbers, usually my first warm-up set actually, but for that kind of volume, 3x8, that's pretty good. And again, it was a little bit more geared towards working the grip a bit more, especially with that kind of volume. And so while it was very tempting to throw on the straps and go much heavier, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it completely raw, and so that's why I stayed at just 225, although maybe I could have gone to like 235, 245, but even 225 felt pretty good. And it just was nice to do conventional style again. And so I don't know how often I'll do that, but it just kind of popped in my head and just figured I'd go with it instead of doing a stiff-legged deadlift like I did the time before. So going back to conventional was nice. I don't know when I'll focus on conventional again, but somewhere down the line, I would guess somewhere later this year I'll go back to conventional. But for now, it's sumo based, and conventional was just another way to work the posterior chain, but also to work a bit on grip. Okay, sumo deadlift. So for sumo deadlift, I did the same warm-up as always, but there's a little catch. So basically, just like squat, I changed it up just a bit, and that means I did a set of 5 with 225. That's nothing new. Set of 4 with 275, and then instead of throwing in that triple with 315 like I did last time, I didn't need it, and I just wanted to prove that to myself, so I just shot right up to 340 for the working weight, 10x4, 90 seconds of rest in between sets, and it went just fine. The triple with 315, completely unnecessary unless I was really tired or just felt like I needed it, but on a decent day, don't need it. Not necessary. Not at this weight. This is too light for the need to have that many warm-up sets, but I just wanted to do it. I could have done a set with 315 and just gone right into and then gone into 340 after that, but I really was not necessary whatsoever. So here's the sets with 340, and these reps are just fine. I will admit that a few times I may have rushed the reps a bit. Now that doesn't mean I was bouncing. I did not bounce any reps. However, you might notice off the bat on a couple of the sets that I went from rep 1 to rep 2 maybe a little bit faster than I should, and a part of that actually was getting really motivated because the main gym crush was there, and it's really something just to kind of feel that connection, that unspoken respect, and I would even say admiration that we have for each other, just because, like I was saying before, it's tough to find people or just to see people who are lifting serious enough where they are working and they are training hard, they are doing things well, and it's unfortunately not the norm. I wish it was, but it's actually not. So I think when you get two people who recognize that in each other, it really makes for a special bond, because if she's there, she's doing great stuff. If I'm there, I'd like to think that I'm doing great stuff. But at the end of the day, she trains very well, and well, one, her physique shows for it, but two, it just speaks a lot about her character in that she cares enough to do things correctly and to not be reckless with working out or to be ignorant of what is proper and what is not. And so in the whole grand scheme of this whole fitness and exercise and health and all that good stuff, I believe standards apply. Strength standards, form, technique standards, they're all there, and for a reason. And so if you want to try to take shortcuts, and if you want to try to follow the trends, you might find that you're not going to get exactly where you want to be, and you might even end up with some unwanted injuries and even unnecessary injuries that could have been prevented had you not rushed into it and just kind of follow whoever you look up to without knowing the foundation that was set and the history, really. So whenever I see her, it's always a pleasure to work out around her, because that's the kind of environment I want to be in, with people who are there to train. Of course, it's not a bad idea to be social here and there, but for me, I like to get my work done. That's why I wear the over-the-ear headphones, or even on-the-ear headphones, because I'm there to train. I really am, and I just want to get my workout done. And honestly, I don't want to be there any longer than I really need to. I enjoy my time at the gym, but I don't want to spend hours upon hours talking and then realizing that I only did a little bit of work while I was there. You know what I mean? So I just really, really appreciate that from her, and she's absolutely wonderful. She's stunning. She's beautiful. She's great. I'm sure she's very nice, but a great training. Let's put it this way: just a great person who works out. Just a great person who works out, and I just like to point that out. So for the other accessory, I went to the Crossramp and didn't do another strength exercise. So I went to the Crossramp, really easy. I just did 6 minutes for a half mile, and that was all I wanted. I could have certainly have gone towards like 10 minutes if I really wanted to, but honestly, I didn't want to. And at that point, I just wanted to get home, and I really wanted to eat. I was pretty hungry. I didn't really have much in the morning, so I was running on a little bit of fuel, but I didn't have quite enough to do another full-blown strength exercise. Although if I went light enough or did something body weight, maybe. But that's also why I went to the Crossramp. Just something easy, and just put in some time on a cardio machine, and I'm good with that. The two main lifts are the most important anyways. Alright, adapt, don't chop.